Hey everyone, it's Darren Copeland, founder, CEO of Summit Lending. And today I'm so excited to have one of my besties in the business, and I mean that, the one and only Kym Mason. She's out of Washington State and has been with us. Gosh, it'll be coming up on a year here in a month or
hmm
two, Kym, which is just crazy. So thank you so much for being the person you are and taking a few minutes and hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's jump in. Okay. So before, we had our little story, Kym and I have a really cool story of I said, "Hey Kym, why don't you and your husband John come out for a free trip to one of our wholesalers and you can learn more about the broker channel." And she's like, "DC, I'm good, but I love you. I have no intentions of moving, but you're cool and I'm going to come
Yeah.
out and hang out anyway." So that's how this whole story went. And that was her interaction of getting to know more about the broker side. So Kym, before you came over to the broker side, what was like, did you have a struggle or two that you were kind of going through on the retail side? What were some of the struggles that
Oh yeah.
even opened your mind?
Yeah. Well, for one, I just was having a heck of a time getting my P&L profitable because we had so much overhead and so many expenses on that P&L that I weren't even sure what they were going to. What exactly are we paying for? And we would hit a decent production and I still couldn't get to profitability on that P&L or would just break even, which meant, no pay for me as a branch manager because, in retail they cut all the branch manager salaries. And then they started reducing my loan officers compensation dramatically. So if my loan officers closed less than 3 loans a month, then they cut their bips significantly by half or more. And in that marketplace, it was really hard to hit that number. I had some loan officers who were newer to the business and were still great loan officers, but it was really hard to hit that number. So yeah, that there was a lot. And I also felt like I was in a box. I had a lot of ideas that I knew I could talk about in the marketplace. Like, hey,
Yeah.
why don't we do this? And I'm going to call it this name. And then I'm going to, let's make a flyer about it. And then I'm going to go talk to my agents about it and, let's do it. And I
Yes.
could not do any of that. Every idea that I floated was met with silence. And then due to
Yeah.
compliance, I couldn't go promote that myself.
Isn't it funny? Because that happened to me before I came over to the broker side 5 years ago. Like on the retail side, and there's some good folks over there,
Sure.
um, but you can almost compliance yourself out of doing business, right?
Yeah.
And I remember having some of those struggles on the compliance side. I'm like, listen, guys, I'm not doing anything wrong. You put in the equal
hmm
housing, all the NMLS numbers, you're doing everything, but they were just so scared of having like rogue LOs go out there and doing something crazy.
Sure.
So I do remember that. I'm so glad you brought that up because, um, one of our passions is what we always talk about is, hey, let's create an environment that as long as you're doing the right things, that you can go out there and market yourself. And you are the master, Kym, when it comes to naming
Thank
specific
you.
programs and coming
Thank
up
you.
with different things and getting that
Fun.
out there. Because you've helped a lot of other LOs with Summit Lending on that. So no, that's amazing to be able to market yourself and not have the compliance people holding you back.
Yeah, and to be fair, in that world, they have to. That's their job.
Yep,
And I was with a good company before, but it just wasn't a good fit for me anymore. I needed the
exactly.
freedom to run with my ideas.
Exactly, exactly. So, as we're building and anyone in a recruiting position, as you're talking to people, I had hesitations coming over to the broker side. I know you had some
hmm
hesitations, but maybe just share one or two hesitations of whether it's just the unknown or something that you were worried about that you didn't really know how it was going to work out, but then you came over here and you're like, okay, it's totally cool.
Yeah, one thing was, I was a broker back in the day before 2008. And so I had a fear of companies going away, going out of
Mhm.
business. And
Right.
because I experienced that before. So after talking with you and taking that trip to visit, one of the lenders that you work with, I realized, oh, this is not that. This
Right.
is different. And these companies that we're partnering with, these wholesale companies, are so strong and they're not going away. In fact, I'm watching retail companies go away. So
No.
the aha moment that I had was I'm at more risk staying at a retail company of that company going away than I am at brokering and having the company I'm brokering a loan to go away.
1000%, 1000%. Because, you know,
Mhm,
I got into the business actually on the broker side 20 years ago. And not that they were mom and pop shops, but I mean, they were smaller wholesalers, right?
mhm, mhm.
They're not the big behemoths that they are now. I mean, like these people, they know what they're good at. They're not just kind of retail and wholesale. Like our top ones are just broker friendly and all in on the wholesale channel, right?
Mhm.
And they've got their processes in. And I know you would agree with this because I know other people are going to be listening to this is, you know, some people are worried about the tech side when it comes to the broker side, but think about how far it's come even in the 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Remember how the tech was in '07 and '08 for brokers and where it
Yep.
is now, right? It's not
Yep.
even the same business.
Well, and again, if I turn that on its side, I'm more worried about technology at a retail shop because they don't keep up. You know,
Right.
the retail shops that I have experienced, in the last decade, for a minute they'd be ahead in tech, and then a year or two later they're way behind. It's hard
Right.
to keep up right now with tech, and
Yep.
it just seemed like it was constantly shifting where there was one that had better tech than the other, but that didn't last very long. Whereas I find wholesale lenders are at the cutting edge in technology. And
Right.
what has really launched me since I've been here is really diving into that technology that Summit Lending already had in place and then showed me how to use. And utilizing that, now I'm able to do so much more. I can 10x my efforts, and
Right.
I can do more in less time.
Absolutely. And you're not worried about losing deals to pricing anymore, are you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that just went away. So
Right. Right.
once that went away, and I could just implement my ideas when I had them, of course, making sure we're compliant, but then just implement them and talk about it immediately to the partners that I'm calling on, or clients, that I'm talking to. And it just was like pouring fuel on my business. That, and the fact that I only have to do a fraction of the volume to be more profitable than I
Right.
was before, it just took a huge weight off of me. And then that builds momentum, and it, you know, fuels
Right.
itself.
Well, isn't it funny? You know, all the conversation I had, it has very similar tones, very similar stories. Because on the retail side, because I was there too, is at sometimes you just feel like you're there and you're employing other people so they can make money, and at the end of the
Mm,
day, there's
yeah,
not a lot left for you. To where now, because I've even seen it
yeah,
with you over the past couple of months, you're like, let's go, right? Like I
yes,
want to do
yes,
this, I want to do that, and there's actually and there's money there for you, and also the full transparency, and that's the one thing that I really wanted
yep.
to help
I
everyone
can,
get plugged in and be like, dude,
yeah,
here's where every single dime goes, right? There's
yeah,
no baked in bips on the back end, floating a trip to Hawaii for the top salespeople or anything like that. It's all out there, and all you need to do is focus on going out there and telling everyone how awesome you are.
right. I mean, I was on the receiving end of those sales trips to Hawaii, so I'm not complaining, but you know what? Now I can pay for my own trips to Hawaii and take my whole team with me if I want to. So,
Exactly.
there's more. I will say with what I really got back was the fun. I love this business, and I was exhausted and I didn't love it anymore. And
Right.
I just could barely put one foot in front of the other, like just mentally and emotionally, I was exhausted. And this opened my eyes to it could be fun again. I
Yeah.
love this business. I want to
Right.
have fun. I'm in it for the fun. I make like money to me is just fun. It's a vehicle for fun.
It's called
That
fun
is
coupons.
my motivator. Like my top two motivators are freedom and fun.
Yeah.
And so when I got back, when I got into this broker world, and especially being with Summit and being with you and your leadership team, where our motto is always be cool,
Yeah.
which is another way of saying always be kind, and
True.
always, think of the other person. And it became fun again. And when
Right.
that happens, people feel your energy shift, and it's a magnet, and it
It
attracts
is.
business.
It completely is. And I'm so glad you said that, Kim, because
Mhm.
every time that we bring someone from the retail side over here, it's almost kind of like they're beaten up a little bit and they need to get rejuvenated. And every single time when I see that within the first 30 or 60 days, people see what's possible. They see how easy it is. They truly see how the support is. And it lights your fire again, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep,
You're like,
exactly.
let's
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go, man. So that's awesome. Well, hey, I
Yeah.
want to be really mindful of your time because I know we're already past our 10-minute mark. So I just want to personally thank you as a friend and just thank you as a coworker for being so awesome and everything that you bring, not only to Summit, but just the broker world, overall. So thank you so much for just always being cool, Kim.
Thanks, DC. I'm super grateful for you. I wouldn't be here without you. Appreciate it.
Awesome, girl. Awesome. All right. We'll see you
All
soon.
right. See ya.
Bye.